Okay, so today I'm going to compare the AMD 8120 to the 2500K. Current cost of the 2500K on Tiger Direct is $225, while the 8120 is at $195. So there's about a $30 difference. Okay, for this comparison, I'm going to be using a Passmark software program. It's called Performance Test 7.0. Um, a lot of people don't like the 8120 because it was built up, hyped up to be a i7 killer, when in reality it really was not. Um, that's but when you look at the prices, it's not priced to fight with an i7. It's why are people comparing an i7 to the 8120? I don't know, but it costs less than 2500K, so that's why I'm gonna compare it to the 2500K. At 3.3 gigahertz for the 2500K, there are 3,462 samples for this stock speed with this program. And the average CPU mark they're receiving is 6,748. Okay, now for the AMD FX 8120. The stock speed for this is 3.1 gigahertz. There were only 398 samples. Obviously, it's not as popular. Um, an average CPU mark of 7,128. Now, in my experience at the stock clock speeds, I'm receiving much higher than that. I do have the Windows update that was supposed to improve performance, make better use of the 8 cores. So maybe this is maybe mixed of both parts. Some people have it, some people don't. The update only came out like a month and a half ago. Um, but even here you can see that the 8120 is benchmarking slightly higher than 2500K. In reality, you're not even going to notice a difference between those two benchmarks. Maybe in Flight Sim, which is what I've noticed to be the most CPU intensive of video games, maybe then you'll notice a few little frames difference. Um, it's a lot lower than the 2600K, but with an overclock, without a hypercam or anything recording, I normally receive 9,000 or so with a 4.1 gigahertz overclock in comparison to the 2600K. Um, I know it's a lot faster for clock speed, but you can achieve it. I much rather have the i7, but at over $100 difference, it just was not in my price range at the time of when I built this system. Okay, before I start benchmarking, I would just like to say I'm recording with Hypercam. I tried recording with my phone. I only got an HTC Evo 4G. Couldn't get the audio to switch over. Not the best picture anyways. So I figured this would be the best way to do it. And after each benchmark that I record and show, I will do it again and just screenshot it so that you can see the score without Hypercam. It does make a little bit of a difference. I'm going to leave other programs running in the background. I'm not that into like, oh, what is this fair? Okay, so a few things changed. I am not going to use Hypercam to record at all. I'm going to use a tablet I found in my house. Don't know why we have this thing, but the audio quality on it is horrible. The video picture is horrible, but the audio does show up, and I think it'll be a little easier to record than with my Evo.
Okay, here is my attempt to record a benchmark. As you can see, we're at 3.1 gigahertz. Temperature, got my cores. You got a few programs running. I don't think it will affect it too bad. Keep it in front of the mouses, I can't actually see at all. So here's the benchmark. It is still 2.1 gigahertz, not going over that. Turbo mode is off. It's one way to tell, I guess. And if anyone has an i5-2500k, would like to go through the same steps that I'm doing right now to compare them, it would really help, because I know that those task marks, benchmarks, overall, some are going to be higher, some are going to be lower. That's just the average. Some people are going to be scoring higher than others. And I really don't think that's fair to compare it like that. But here's our result, 7160, which is, I think that's about average. Yeah, that's average. So we're going to run it one more time just to make sure. This is what we're getting. See if we score any higher or lower or whatever. Earlier I think I scored 7,800, so it is really all over the board. Just hope it doesn't get worse, I guess. I don't know. Nothing's worse than recording with this tablet. $71 again. So, there we go. I guess that's what we're going to use for that. Okay, I now have this changed to 4.1. This is my last test right here. My last test I ran at 3.3 gigahertz. Barely anything changed. Here's 4.1. This is what I like to keep it at for any normal gaming. Just leave it at this. I don't have to change the voltages. I'm not comfortable with doing that. So, pretty easy to do. Just changing the multiplier. Uh, 8792. Earlier I scored 9100 on this. Ever since I reset my computer, I guess my scores have been a little lower. Actually, I don't know what I did. But it doesn't really matter. This is the data we're going to use. 8792, just under a stock clock 2600k for $100 cheaper. I only have an H60, Corsair H60 cooling my CPU, so this is about as high as I want to go anyways. I don't like it getting really, really hot. I know some people are going to go on here and say, oh, well, that's still really hot, 30, 40, whatever I'm getting when it's running. But, this is what I use.
Okay, so basically, just recap of what I've shown, and basically the i7 is always going to come on top of 8120, at least 2600k, probably not the 950. I didn't really look up those benchmarks. The 8120 did come out on top at stock clock. In, well, my benchmarks, I would like to see more examples in video rather than just trusting their ranking, their list, their averages. But yeah, the 8120 is great for gaming. That's what this video is basically in response to. Is all the people that are really looking down on the 8120, really avoiding it for the 2500k. And then you look at something like this, and the 8120 is actually coming out on top. And I think it's a lot of just, people think this, people think that. You really need to look at the actual data. You really need to look at what kind of updates there were. And, the 8120 is great for gaming. As I said before, I would much rather have the i7-2600K. But I don't have the extra $110 at the time to switch. Or not switch, but to choose that over. The 8120 is a great deal for gaming. Cheaper than 2500K. Benchmarks higher.